And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Dawn, I appreciate you coming in today, and we have what looks like just an average man's briefcase.
From being John F. Kennedy's shoe shiner to owning one of his briefcases, the niece of a cobbler, Dawn, brought a briefcase that belonged to John F. Kennedy. J.F. Kennedy visited her uncle's cobbler shop on Beacon Hill in Boston for weekly shoe shines. One day, he left his briefcase at her uncle's shop, and when he came back for the next shoe shine, her uncle tried to return it, but Kennedy told him to keep it.
So we're going to take a look inside just to see what we have. And you can see inside we have the compartment where his lunch was.
Yes.
And his papers. You got that nice little deli smell, so we know it was a liverwurst sandwich. It could have been olive loaf, but not sure. When we look at things like this on the Roadshow,
the briefcase had J.F. Kennedy's initials engraved on the outside, and inside it were some handwritten notes. Her uncle had later gifted the briefcase to Dawn's father, who usually took the case to school to flaunt it. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Sadly, when he took it to a history class, someone took the letters out of the bag. Those letters might have been worth a lot of money. Apparently, several briefcases belonging to J.F. Kennedy had come up on auction before, and one even sold for $700,000. But what is this particular briefcase worth?
probably put an estimate somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000.
Wow.
It's a great piece of American history. The fact that JFK actually held the handle. He had his lunch in here.
During a garage sale, this odd-looking table was purchased by the owner for almost $25, but its value goes beyond the owner's wildest imagination. The table was produced by John Seymour and Son, a company in Creek Square, Boston. The company is known for producing furniture for wealthy households during the Federal period. On the show, the table was valued at $200,000 to $300,000.
Wow.
Bill, $25,000. Now I want to say that on a very good day.
But it didn't end there. Later on, it sold at Sotheby's for $541,000. What an investment! From moving out a dead boss's belongings to finding a gem.
This basket took at least 2 years to make.
This item was a basket woven by an American visual artist, Carrie Bethel, who started weaving baskets at the age of 12. The basket was made between 1955 and 1960.
This woman, who was such an unbelievable weaver, lived in a shack. She had no running water, no electricity.
What?
And she just did her weaving when she could during the day.
Who would have thought a little basket like this will have a value between $75,000 and $150,000?
Oh.
Yes. Now.
What?
You heard me right.
Oh my gosh.
You heard me right.
Oh, now I do feel bad.
This woman got to watch as the United States president was getting his portrait painted. She was a cousin to the personal maid of Eleanor Roosevelt, First Lady of the United States. The woman came to the show with the First Lady's personal possessions, including pictures and letters.
But a conservative auction estimate for the entire archive would be around $8,000 to $12,000.
Oh my,
Yeah.
wonderful.
His wife wasn't pleased when he bought this bat for $147 at auction. But how would she feel upon hearing its value? The bat belonged to one of the greatest baseball players of all time, Joe DiMaggio. The bat had Joe's signature and was made by Louisville Slugger.
I'm super excited about this bat. I would place a value at auction of $80,000 to $100,000.
Oh, awesome! Great. That's great to hear.
Drew is off to visit a new antique market on a 300-mile journey to Paddock Wood in Kent.
And today it's a 300-mile trip to Paddock Wood in Kent to visit a new antique market.
It's only the second time this market has been held. New fairs like this attract many new dealers and first-timers, bringing out great finds. The market is at Hop Farm, home to the largest collection of Victorian oast houses. With 100 stalls, dealers come from all over to sell top antiques, vintage, and decorative pieces. Drew spots a modernist bull for 90 pounds, predicting it could sell for.
It's 90 quid. I think I can get 180. I think I can double up.
It's made by Ruska, known for its lava-glazed pottery. He also finds 3 mustachioed gents paintings. He bought them for...
I bought all 3 of the paintings for 350 quid.
Another find is an Italian modernist chair from the 1980s, priced at...
80s, yeah.
80s. How much is that, sir?
140.
It has a potential resale value of 180 pounds. A French garden potting table from the 1960s, made of steel, catches his eye. It's priced at 120 pounds, with an estimated value of...
It could be worth around 175 pounds.
He also picks up a darkroom pendant light for...
What did you say, 40 quid? Yeah, go on, sir. Thank you.
Lastly, he finds a painted tubular stool for...
It's cool, isn't it?
65 quid.
It has original faux leather covering. A dealer brought an antique clock to Paul Williams, an experienced horologist.
What I'm led to believe it's RAF.
It was identified as an RAF cockpit clock from the 1930s and World War II era. The clock, made by the London company S. Smith & Sons, was essential instruments for RAF pilots during the war. The company began as a central London jeweler before expanding into mechanical instruments. The restorer inspected the clock's aluminum dial, noting its lightweight properties ideal for aviation. The clock had tiny screws on the dial and a missing mainspring in the brass barrel, suggesting prior incomplete repairs. Paul sourced a replacement mainspring, applied thin oil to it, and carefully fitted it into the clockwork mechanism. The next step involved reassembling the clockwork, testing it by winding and ensuring the power was transmitting correctly. The clock case was then sent to a metalworker, who designed a stand that reflected the clock's aviation heritage. After receiving the completed case, Paul reassembled the mechanism and dial. He tested the clock's functions, and it was brought back to the dealer. The clock, now running smoothly, was valued significantly higher than the dealer's initial £100 investment.
Between 2.5 and 3 grand. Amazing. Well, I can't thank you enough.
Clothes worn by a prisoner of war in Vietnam were priced fairly high for an apparel worn in prison. The prisoner, who is the father to the guest, was a Thud soldier called Lieutenant Colonel Robert L. Strim.
Did he have any other interesting people that he was with in prison?
Oh, absolutely. He told me a great story that the first time he ever laughed in jail was a joke that John McCain had tapped through the wall. They were sharing a wall while they were both in solitary confinement while they were in Santé.
Alongside the clothing was a picture of the family, which was taken the moment the family first saw their father when he exited prison. The picture was taken by Sal Vetter, who won an award for the photograph.
The photograph was given to me personally by Sal in 1990. He signed it Lori with best wishes, Sal Vader.
And the value of these items...
So, as an auction estimate, it would be in the $2,500 to $3,000 range, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. However, the historical value on this is absolutely priceless. And what a moving story it is.
Cars serve not only as a means of comfort, but also as vehicles for sports, adventure, and personal expression. Drew and Paul faced a big challenge with their Cortina GT, despite its great looks.
Michael has worked his magic on the dashboard, carefully filling and sanding all the cracks that were hidden by the padded cover.
The Ford Cortina was once a popular British car, especially the Mark II model, introduced in 1966. However, it's now rare due to some common issues. To make their car more powerful, Drew went to Kent to visit Harris Performance Engineering, a company known for building high-performance Ford engines since the 1950s. Drew decided to buy a powerful engine with extra features like twin carbs.
It should be a vast improvement from what we had there before.
The Harris team carefully cleaned, painted, and assembled the engine, ensuring top-notch quality. Meanwhile, the Cortina got new seals, wheels, and a repaired dashboard. Once the engine was ready, Drew and Paul took the car to a track in Staffordshire, where it performed amazingly. The engine's sound and performance were impressive.
It doesn't get any less nerve-wracking from the first time I ever done it to the last time, but that's the whole point of the rig.
The total cost was over £6,000, but they expect the car to be worth around £14,000. Driving the Cortina was fun and gave Drew ideas for more changes. At the track, the car drew attention from other Ford fans. Everyone liked the improvements Drew and Paul made. They felt proud of their work. This project showcased their love for classic cars and Harris Performance Engineering skills. Drew arrived at a location with original fittings, including big prismatic lanterns. The lanterns were described as exquisite, with a pagoda-esque mounting point and ceiling roses, valued at around £900. For the pair, Drew offered
$350 for the pair.
He was very pleased with the purchase, considering it worth the trip. Next, Drew found illuminated theater exit signs from the 1930s. They were made of etched glass and bronze, valued at about £250. However, they were covered in thick gold paint, which devalued them. Despite this, for the pair, Drew made a deal of
$100 a pair.
Oh, great. Thank you. Deal done. Thank you.
Additionally, Drew found Hall of Fame lamps from the 1930s, made of ridged prismatic glass. These lamps had bronzed adjustable ceiling mounts and were valued at around £200 each. He negotiated for a pair.
£150 a pair.
Oh, great. Done.
Yeah?
Okay, great.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Drew also noticed the original seating in the theater, identified as Peretti seats by Giancarlo Peretti. These seats were famous, with a brushed aluminum finish. They were modular, dating from the 1980s, and each pair was valued at £300. Drew made a deal for 8 seats at
25 quid a chair is a good deal, I think.
Okay.
Drew was delighted with the day's purchases, especially the chairs, which he believed had great potential, particularly for the American market. He expressed interest in buying more in the future, possibly up to 40 seats.
I can turn them over and carry on buying them, and maybe the next time not buy 8, buy 40.
The lanterns and seating were highlighted as standout items, with potential for significant profit.
We all love the reactions of guests when they hear the prices of their items on the Antiques Roadshow, especially when these items are worth millions of dollars. The great-grandson of a well-known realist painter and illustrator, Ralph Hedley, bought one of his paintings to the show. One would think the painting was inherited, but it wasn't.
I didn't inherit it, I bought it for about £50 in 1971.
Hedley was a local artist with a good reputation. Some of Ralph Hedley's work, including Cat in a Cottage Window and The Last in Market, are known worldwide and reproduced as prints. In 2004, his work, The Tournament, sold for £44,000. Pretty impressive for a local painter. The painting that was brought to the show was a depiction of the brick-making process. Hedley's great-grandson also brought along another painting that had tried to replicate Hedley's painting. And after comparing the details of the two, the appraiser affirmed that it wasn't as good as the original. Depending on how much he spent on the painting, he made a good profit.
Value. What did you say it cost you? I can't remember.
£50.
£50, 1971.
1971, yeah.
Not bad. I think a fair value is £35,000, £40,000.
That would.
What would you do? Would you sell it or just hang it in a room? Let me know in the comments.
Drew heads to the Cotswolds, aiming to buy high-end, shop-ready antiques.
And that, you know how much that benefits us.
His destination is Lawford's in Babdown, near Tetbury, the largest decorative antique center in Europe. Lawford's spans 2 ex-World War II aircraft hangars, housing 48 dealers.
Lawford's showroom is spread across these 2 ex-aircraft hangars that date back to World War II. It houses 48 high-end dealers.
Leslie Ferguson, a co-owner, highlights the range of stock from the late 18th century to mid-century design. Drew's challenge is finding unique pieces at the right price. He spots a remarkable chest of drawers, characterized by its Scottish origin and late 19th century craftsmanship. The massive piece, made from pine, features large handles and a practical, symmetrical design. It's priced at £1,600, and his estimated value is around...
It could be worth around £3,000.
Drew negotiates to buy it for...
£1,000, and then I thought, well, you can push it a little bit to 12.
12 is fine.
Really?
Yeah. It's yours.
Thank you very much.
Drew praises the chest quality and rarity, noting its market value. He expresses a personal affinity for the piece, saying he'd love to keep it for himself. Back at the shop, Drew is excited about displaying the chest, planning to feature it prominently in the window. The piece fits perfectly with his stock and draws significant attention. He also appreciates other finds, like a versatile tub and brass lamps, which are visually appealing and affordable. The successful trip adds valuable stock to the shop, and Drew is eager to showcase these new additions to customers. The craftsman demonstrates restoring mahogany furniture with a rich French polish finish.
So what I'm going to show you is how to get that lovely, rich French polish finish that really shows off mahogany.
He starts by cleaning with extra fine wire wool. This removes grime and prepares the wood for a mahogany dye. The dye blends scratches without changing the original color. A neat coat of French polish serves as a primer, ensuring the stain adheres well. A mixture of methylated spirits and French polish is used.
And I've got some methylated spirits and some French polish, and I'm going to mix them 50-50.
The craftsman applies it with a traditional French polishing rubber to achieve a smooth, glossy surface. He also removes a red wine stain from a pine table using wire wool and methylated spirits, followed by a natural beeswax application to restore shine. On an oak joint stool, the craftsman applies dark oak dye to give it an antique look. After drying, he uses wire wool to create depth and mimic wear. He seals the piece with French polish.
So now I'm going to paint a coat of French polish over the whole table.
The final finish includes dark wax, enhanced by black shoe polish. The wax is melted with a hairdryer, then buffed. This reveals a beautiful, antique-like finish. The result is a meticulously restored piece, showcasing quality and authenticity.
An 8-foot-long bat weighs almost as heavy as its value.
Let's lift it. I want to try to lift it. So we're talking what, 30 pounds?
I'm thinking about 30 pounds.
30 pounds, and your normal bat is 32, 36 ounces.
The bat had been hanging in the guest's grandparents' sporting store in San Mateo. It was given to Ted Williams, one of the greatest American baseball players. During this time, Ted received several awards such as American League Most Valuable Player Award.
Well, I think why it was made is, we have some clues here on the bat, and if we take just a quick look, it says the Quadricentennial, 1834-1959, and then we have Paul Bunyan. And then on the other side, we can see it says, presented to Ted Williams, baseball's Paul Bunyan.
Value placed on this bat was $8,000 to $12,000.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you.
In the billiard room, Drew Pritchard admires a house filled with unique items. Among the standout pieces is an Edwardian leather armchair, reflecting the style of Howard & Son and Showbread. This chair, in excellent condition, is estimated to be worth around £1,000. To secure the deal, Drew offers,
I think I'd pay £500 for it. What do you think, for sale?
For me, yes.
Yeah. Yeah?
Well, if Katrine's happy, I'm happy.
Thank you very much. Deal, thank you. Thank you very much.
He then explores a storage room, finding old mirrors with valuable glass from the early 19th century. Though the frames are damaged, the glass is desirable. He purchased 3 mirrors for about...
That's £30 for the 2 small mirrors and £100 for the big one.
The mirrors, once restored, could fetch around...
They could work well as a wall feature and be worth around £500.
Drew also discovers a Victorian armchair by James Showbread. Though in need of attention, its frame and caster are in good condition. He negotiates a price for the chair.
Meet in the middle, 250. Sure. Yeah? Sure. Marvellous.
Done.
Done. Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Which could be worth, when restored, around...
And this chair could be worth around £450.
The highlight of the visit is a Howard & Sons country house armchair. Despite its poor condition and a missing caster, the chair's original upholstery and maker's mark make it valuable. Drew offers for the chair.
800 for that. So 800. We could do that deal.
When restored, its worth will be...
And this chair could be worth around £2,000.
The day concludes with Drew feeling satisfied with his purchases. Drew explores a shop filled with various interesting items. He finds a unique papier-mâché bulldog made from old newspaper, noting its charm and folk art style. This piece stands out due to its handmade quality and vintage appeal. Alongside it, he discovers a 1960s stuffed leather hippo made by the British firm Amersa, which was retailed through the Liberty of London and Abercrombie & Fitch. The hippo, in need of a polish, is priced at
The price for the little hippo, 85 quid.
a bargain, since it could fetch around 200 pounds in better condition. Drew also spots a Moorish octagonal side table, unfortunately overpainted, but still valuable due to its intricate inlays of mother and pearl and various woods. The table's craftsmanship shines through, even with the poor restoration. It could be worth around 400 pounds once properly restored. Drew negotiates and buys it for
Still, it's good looking enough. Yes, okay, yeah, we'll have it. Marvellous.
expecting to sell it for around 450 pounds, seeing potential profit in the restoration. In another section, Drew discovers a collection of high-quality glass eyes, still in their original boxes, likely made in Paris for World War I survivors. These medical curios are valued at around 60 pounds each. Drew buys all four for
It's the same trader. For all four, 130.
Yes, marvellous. Thank you. Yeah, we'll have those.
Lastly, Drew finds a diminutive lens on a gilt brass stand.
Mounted on a gilt brass stand, the lens is held in a rotating gilt brass and bronze slider.
An intriguing piece that he purchases for
So what can you do on that one? It's on at 55.
45 quid will buy that one.
Yeah.
Gotta have it, ain't
Yeah,
you?
it's just lovely, isn't it? Thank you, mate.
He appreciates its perfectly proportioned design and estimates its value at.
That's going to make us another 100 quid. So we're ticking off.
Drew concludes his visit, pleased with his diverse haul, noting the potential profit in each item. The trip, full of unique finds, promises a good return on investment.
Sure you know that that is the crown monogram of Wilhelm II.
Yes, I have
Who
heard
was
the history of the watch. Yes.
grandson of Queen Victoria.
Yes.
You would think this pocket gold watch that was owned by the grandson of Queen Victoria would be worth millions of pounds. But will it be? The watch that belonged to Kaiser Wilhelm II, the grandson of Queen Victoria, was bought by a guest on the show. The watch, along with a silver medal and citation, was presented to the man's granduncle, William Phillips, for the rescuing of some German sailors mariners on the high seas on the 13th of March, 1906. The watch was in very good condition and hardly used. This watch reeked of first-class luxury.
I suppose if it came up at auction now and a collector bought it, you'd probably get in the region of £1,500 with the citation as well. It's not a lot, but without that, the watch would be significantly less money.
Well, it's not only the cost that counts. Having a watch that was owned by a royal family member is indeed fascinating.
Fairhays Castle, surrounded by 140 acres of gardens, has been home to the Williams family for over 150 years.
Fairhays Castle is surrounded by 140 acres of gardens. The Williams family have lived here for over 150 years.
Currently, Charles Williams, his wife Lizzie, and their housekeeper Sian maintain the estate. The family has diversified into various businesses, including mail-order plants, building, and farming, and they open the castle to the public during the spring. A collection of vintage pedal cars caught Drew's eye. These include an ice cream van, a train, and trucks, all in mint condition. They were likely part of Charles's brother's childhood toys. The collection featured brands like Tonka and Triangle from the mid-20th century and was valued at £1,100.
They could be worth around £1,100.
Drew agreed to buy them for
$850.
$850 for the 7.
For the 7.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Deal. Marvellous, thank you.
Drew also showed interest in a late 19th century carpet chair and a Victorian gypsy table. The chair, in good condition with minor wear, and the table, with its original velvet cover, are classic English country house furniture pieces. Together, they could fetch around
£700 and £300 respectively.
Drew bought both of them for
Happy with that?
Yep.
For both of those?
For both of 180 and 250.
Marvellous, thank you.
Another notable find was a pristine, unused Scottish armchair from the late 19th century. This chair, with its original label, valued at around £1,000. Drew secured it for
What would you be happy with?
500.
Drew also purchased a pair of late Victorian green folding garden chairs, seized up with layers of paint. Despite their condition, they were valued at £900. He negotiated a price of...
Come on, 300.
Really?
Yeah.
They're a pair.
They're a pair.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Overall, Drew had a successful day, acquiring a range of items.
This lady's mother was a sitter for one of Paul Trubetskoy's sculptures. Paul was an exceptional sculptor from Italy. In 1924, when the guest's mother was 7 years old, Paul made a bronze sculpture of her. The piece valued impressively at $20,000 and even doubled in value to $40,000 in 2020.
Join the hunt and deal-making in the world of unique collectibles. Steve greeted Drew and mentioned that they were looking for stock and asked what was available. Steve responded that there was some stock, though he was unsure if it was the right fit. Drew wanted to check out the stock, so Steve directed him to the trade-only upstairs rooms. The upstairs area spanned about 3,000 square feet, offering a well-organized view of the items, which Drew appreciated. They came across a painted English metal cabinet with an unusual design that might fetch up to €950. Steve had painted it himself, and Drew asked about the price, which was set at €325. Drew negotiated the price down to €250, which Steve agreed was fair.
What's the trade on it?
Is there a price on that? Can't even read it myself.
325 on it.
250.
250.
They decided to buy it. Next, they examined a pair of 1970s side tables made of tropical wood with red leather inserts. Drew thought £650 was too much, but made a low bid.
The customers, can I put in a very, very cheeky bid?
Yeah, give her a ring and ask her.
300 quid.
For the pair?
For the pair. Yeah.
He offered £300 for the pair, and Steve went to check with the seller. Steve got the seller to agree to €350, but Drew closed the deal at €325. Drew was pleased with the 4 items bought and hopeful about local sales. Steve thanked him, and both were satisfied with the day's transaction. At the antique superstore, Drew found several unique items. The most striking were industrial lights with glass cylinders from 1954, originally used in a Hungarian state power plant. These lights, in excellent condition with original enamel paint, were valued at around £600 each. For 8 lights, the dealer offered them
€200 each.
€200 each.
That's it.
This is my best, and
will look after me for the rest of the day, though, yeah?
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another highlight was Creepy the Clown, a 1940s fairground attraction made by Hortons in Blackpool. This cast alloy clown game, with original painted makeup, was priced at £150. Restored, it could be worth around
£300.
Also featured were rustic-style garden chairs made from English oak, valued at £1,150 for their large, unique scale and good condition. The dealer offered them for...
To you?
Yeah.
£350.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Quick.
Additionally, 2 large banquet seating units from a Covent Garden shoe shop were considered. These were suggested as an unusual coffee table. Originally, these are priced at...
$1,800 for the pair.
That sucked the fun out of that, isn't it?
Well, eh?
But the final offer was £725. The trip also revealed historical scissors from the Great Exhibition of 1851 and medals from Paris in 1855. A pair of shears, originally priced at £1.50 in 1900, was purchased for...
$75.
All right. Still.
This deal highlighted the craftsmanship and legacy of the 11th generation family business.
It's a great story. I bought those scissors from the 11th generation of the family that made them. Thank you very much.
If you're a book collector, this is proof that your torn books might still be very valuable. A rare first edition of the 1851 book, Pearl of Great Price, by the American religious leader Joseph Smith, was owned by the great-great-grandfather of the guest. The book was far from being in good condition, but its $60,000 value didn't seem to care much about that.
Drew Drew is excited as he explores a bustling market. He spots 2 plafoniers with crimped edges from the 1930s, priced at £10 each, and buys 6 for...
I'll come back and get them in 60 quid.
These French ceiling lights could sell for around £20 each. He finds another set of 8 similar shades, buying them for £10 each. This £140 purchase provides enough matching shades for a project. Drew then buys a painted PRT adjustable light for...
That could be 40.
Fine, yeah, we'll have it. That's fine.
He also picks up some pottery on West German, 2 pieces for...
35 for that one, 40 for that one, yes to that one.
Drew encounters a tactile buffalo figurine priced at £90. He believes it could sell for £180 and decides to buy it. He also purchases 3 portraits for...
I bought all 3 of the paintings for 350 quid.
A modernist Italian chair from the 1980s catches his eye. It's priced at £140, and he buys it, expecting to sell it for...
I think I'd get 180 out of it, so yeah, we'll have that. Yeah, marvellous, thanks.
Drew continues, buying a pair of chairs, a small table, and another chair for...
What about this pair of chairs?
180.
And the little table?
90.
Okay. And that one?
I like that one. 120.
Finally, Drew finds a pendant light for a darkroom, initially priced at £50. He negotiates it down to...
What did you say, 40 quid? Yeah, go on, I thought so. Thank you. Marvellous.
Original Apple I computer manual shows how far the Apple series has come since it was first released. Apple is an American multinational technology company founded by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs in 1976. The company is known worldwide and is said to be the biggest company by market capitalism. The woman who bought in the manual hit the jackpot after she went through the trash and saved it from disposal. The value was indeed shocking.
One day I was at work, and I worked at Apple, and the facilities crew was cleaning out some closets, and they had a great big old dumpster. So I got it dumpster diving. That's what I mean. I hate to say it, but it's true.
The pamphlet was valued at $10,000 to $15,000.
That is more than surprising and more than I ever would have thought.
Jolene Farmer, an expert in antique lighting restoration for over a decade, is in high demand. She traveled to Drew Pritchard's showroom in Conwy, North Wales to work on an Old English Regency globe lantern.
But the good news is the structure is really good.
Drew, known for finding unique items, wants to turn the lantern into a pendant light. The lantern, which is nearly 200 years old, needs a lot of care. Its structure is good, but the base is incorrect, and it has been roughly cut. Jolene starts by carefully removing the old glass panes, which are held in place by very hard putty. She sends the repaired frame to Alistair Malcolm, a skilled glassblower. Alistair creates new curved glass panels using a mold and furnace heated to 1,000 degrees. After weeks of hard work, Jolene brings the restored lantern back to Drew's shop.
I reckon it's about a year and a bit short of 200 years old.
The transformation is amazing. The lantern, once in poor condition, is now a beautiful pendant light. Its original copper color and new glass panes look fantastic. Drew is very pleased with the result. The lantern has been saved from the scrap heap.
The gas lighting of buildings and streets in Britain began early in the 19th century.
Jolene's skill and dedication have brought it back to life. The final product is a perfect blend of old and new, with all its historical charm intact.
I brought this pin that my uncle, Shiro, made in the internment camp at Poston.
According to the National Archives, he was in a relocation camp from 1942 to 1946. Prior to the camp, Shiro was living on Terminal Island, which was located in California. Shiro's niece brought a piece which he had made in an internment camp at Poston during World War II. The piece was in the form of a bird, and he created it out of a sagebrush. The frame included the camp story, a picture of the camp, and Shiro's picture. She also bought a picture of her uncle receiving his internment order from a soldier to evacuate the island and go to the internment camp. The value of the item is not very high, but the emotional value is even more.
Cars are not only for show-off, but for experiencing the joy of driving and the thrill of speed. One evening, two car enthusiasts talk about the famous Lotus 7, launched in 1957. This car could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.2 seconds, which was really impressive. The Lotus 7 helped its founder, Colin Chapman, make money for his racing team. By the mid-60s, his team was winning in Formula One.
He's doing all of this detail that would be wonderful if it was on show. It's going to get stuffed under a car. You'll never see it.
The Series 3 model of this car is very valuable. However, the Series 4 model is cheaper because of its redesign. Paul sees a good deal in the Series 4, especially with its 2-liter twin-cam engine. He and Drew meet Peter Ridston, a longtime Lotus fan who is selling his Series 4 for £11,000. They buy it for £10,500.
It's easy to overheat and warp.
The team then works to restore the car to its original condition. They get a new fuel tank made by a skilled craftsman. After the restoration, Paul meets businessman Brian Mitchell. Brian loves classic cars and buys the Lotus for €15,250. He is excited to drive this classic car.
So we bought it off a lovely old boy who was using it for track days.
Yeah.
This story shows the fun of restoring and owning a classic car.
Skateboard bought at random for $5 turns out to be a historic skateboard. The skateboard was made by Bain, a skateboard making company in the 1970s. Bain's skateboard was the first skateboard used by Tony Hawk, pioneer of modern-day skateboarding.
And I mean, when it comes to skate culture, you really couldn't ask for a more historically significant skateboard than the Bain right here.
Really?
Skateboards are usually valued based on their condition, and for this man's skateboard, which has some imperfections, the value placed on it was $200 to $400. Still a great profit for him.
Oh, what? That's like a 6,900% increase on my the original cost. That's awesome. Papa's got a brand new bag, I'll tell you what.
Sir Clive Sinclair launched the Sinclair C5 in 1985, a one-person battery-operated bike.
In 1985, inventor Sir Clive Sinclair launched the Sinclair C5, a one-person battery-operated bike.
It aimed to revolutionize electric vehicles, but failed commercially due to poor reviews and lack of power. However, 35 years later, the C5 has become a sought-after collector's item, appreciated for its nostalgic charm. Drew plans to revamp it into a pit vehicle for race crews, highlighting its 80s kitsch appeal. He suggests adding modern motors to increase its power, making it more than just a novelty. The original C5 lacked proper motors, which contributed to its initial failure. Drew sees potential in upgrading it with modern technology, envisioning a unique and fun vehicle. They paid for the C5 around...
So we paid about £300 for it.
And with the planned modifications, it could be worth around...
I reckon £1,000 with your work done. We're going to be very close to cost at that point.
Bo, the mechanic, is tasked with the restoration process. He discovers that the original mechanism is rusted and many parts need replacement. Bo installs new wiring, a cooling fan, and a modern motor to enhance performance. The goal is to make the C5 capable of reaching speeds of 30 to 35 miles per hour, significantly faster than the original. After the assembly, Bo tests the upgraded vehicle, noting its impressive speed and power. The final product is a modernized version of the classic C5, now much more powerful and fun to drive. Drew, impressed with the result, takes it for a spin, enjoying its new performance. The upgraded C5 now stands as a unique blend of retro design and modern engineering, capturing the spirit of the 80s while offering a thrilling ride.
The profit made from a $3 purchase took the owner by complete surprise. She had bought a banjo from a storage unit sales years ago. The banjo was made by the popular musical instrument manufacturing company Gibson. The model of the banjo was a 1928 Granada.
And there's the damage, but it's pretty minor. But all that is repairable. Considering that this has a retail value around $7,000.
No. Man, 7,000. Never expected that.
Tony and his team inspect a large, heavy pine clock from 1860 to 1870. It's made of heavy-grade pine and has a Gothic revival style with lovely columns on the side. The clock is missing several parts, including the door and the plinth. Tony and Alex agree that it would look great with a shingle roof and domed glass. He begins the restoration by fitting a new plinth. The plinth is made of solid mahogany. He then uses a convex mirror for the clock door.
Got a lovely piece of convex mirror here.
Alex carefully crafts a round frame and uses veneers for decorative paneling. The clock's mechanism, repaired by horologist Paul, now works smoothly. Tony is impressed by the transformation, praising the oversized, quirky design. The original mirror frame is re-veneered to match the clock. The clock was bought for...
I remember this being cheap, wasn't it?
£200, box of firewood.
Alex estimates the restored clock could be worth around...
Because it's such a grand, stately thing, I thought, well, you know, £5 I mean, if you want a big grandfather clock, where are you going to find one?
Tony commends Alex's work, noting the clock's grand and stately appearance. The project showcases Alex's craftsmanship and attention to detail. Tony and Alex agree to wrap up the clock and transport it the next day.
The detailed carvings on this cane lured this man into making a purchase online. Was this a smart move? On the body of the cane were carvings of animals that are indigenous to the people of North America. However, the maker of the cane is unknown, making it difficult to determine where exactly the cane is from.
It's from 1722 to 1735. It's a very short period, but it's a period in Chinese history when some of the finest ceramics were made, arguably of all time. This is quite a discovery. Have you ever thought about the value, or do you have any idea what this would do at auction if it were sold today?
I have always felt that it was probably worth something. I mean, maybe $1,000, and that's because I collect ceramics that are contemporary, and I know if I were buying something like this, other than that, no idea.
After spending $250 to buy this item, the owner got quite a high profit with a recent value of $6,000 to $8,000.
And it's driven by Chinese tastes.
Host brought a cherished family heirloom to Nick, an expert restorer, for repairs. It was a 19th century puto, a term derived from the Latin word putus, meaning boy or child. The item held significant emotional value for the lady, reminding her of her late father's house in France. Fatless, believed to be German or Austrian, was in poor condition, with damaged paint, broken wings, and a missing finger. Nick began by carefully removing rusty nails and cleaning the statue to better access its condition. The statue's original gold hair and rosy cheeks were hidden under layers of dirt and grime. After cleaning, he carved a new finger from wood, ensuring it fit perfectly before gluing and sculpting it with gesso. The statue's paint was restored using the traditional egg tempera method.
The fatty egg yolk acts as a binder for the pigment. To the pure yolk, Nick adds the same quantity of distilled water to make a paste and a few drops of vinegar. He crushes the powdery pastel pigment into a uniform fineness.
The main goal was to preserve the statue's antique character while restoring its original appearance. After completing the restoration, the statue looked vibrant and well-maintained. The host became emotional upon seeing the restored piece, which looked just as she remembered.
It must feel incredible to be friends with one of the greatest NBA coaches of all time, Red Auerbach. The man's wife bought in a team-signed Celtics photo and basketball. Red Auerbach was an American basketball coach who served as a head coach in the National Basketball Association. He is notably known as the head coach of the Boston Celtics. Red drafted Chuck Cooper, the first African-American to be drafted into the NBA. The photo was taken around 1956 to 1957, and the basketball was signed around 1957 to 1958.
In an auction, I'd put each one of these at $10,000 to $15,000.
No.
Her husband will be stoked upon hearing this.
The team visits Ipswich High School for Girls, housed in the 18th century Grade 1 listed Wolverstone Hall. This hall is renowned for its Georgian architecture and was built by the Berners family in 1776. The head mistress, Una Carlin, along with head girls Millie Morgan and Nia Bradford, showcases the school's grand facilities. These include a recently restored room featuring Wolverstone wallpaper. During the tour, Drew spots a large plaster panel hidden behind a cupboard. Upon closer inspection, he identifies it as a likely copy of part of the Elgin marbles. The Elgin marbles are currently displayed in the British Museum. The panel, in a chunky wooden frame, features two men on horseback. Its estimated value is around...
It could be worth around £5,000.
He offered for the piece
A price in mind of £1,500
Okay.
for it. What do you think?
I mean, we didn't know it was there in the first place, so it's a bonus with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's a pretty good deal.
The school agrees to the deal, not realizing the panel's significance before. The panel's frame appears to be 19th century, and the cast likely dates between 1900 and 1920. Drew is thrilled with the find, describing it as a superb piece. Rebecca later discovers that such molds were used for teaching art students.
Moulds like this were used as teaching aids in the days when copying the great classics was standard practice for art students.
Similar cast fetched around £67,000 at auction in 2012.
I found out that in 2012, 12 casts were sold at a major auction house, and they reached approximately £67,000.
The estimated value of £5,000 to £6,000 for this piece excites the team. The trip proves to be highly rewarding.
It's not strange when people purchase designer products, but when they purchase it directly from the maker's hands, then that's something totally fascinating. This man's childhood viola that was purchased by his grandfather was manufactured in 1967 by Ansaldo Poggi, a renowned instrument maker from Italy. Ansaldo was a perfectionist and made sure his instrument came out looking superb.
He was a hard-working maker. This instrument shows that level of perfectionism. On the inside, on this side of the viola is handwritten Ansaldo Poggi,
Yes.
Fece in Bologna, anno 1967. That's his handwriting. There's no question about it.
Yes.
The other thing that I really love, in the 1920s, he started branding his violas, A. Poggi. So I'm convinced that this is it.
Ansaldo made only 41 violas during his years, and the value for such a rare and magnificent instrument is between $200,000 and $330,000.
Retail price.
Such price value will definitely make anyone's day, like this viola's owner. Do you have a brooch? If yes, does it cost thousands of dollars? This butterfly brooch was purchased at an estate auction by the guest for his wife. The brooch is of opal stone decorated with ruby stones and yellow gold. Its origin is unknown, but the appraiser guessed for its value.
Looks English to me, looks Victorian, probably 1875 through the early 1900s.
The brooch will fall within the range of $3,000 to $5,000.
Great. Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You might have found an item that was left behind by former house occupants, but was it as valuable as this guest's item? The man's mother found an object in the attic of the new house her parents bought in New York. The object was a Penobscot carved root club made by Penobscot native people in Maine.
In the old and early days, prior to colonization, clubs such as this were used as war clubs, and smaller versions with creatures from the forest were used by shaman or holy men during their ceremonial rites. As local native life changed over the centuries and men were no longer able to go to war or to hunt widely, they began to work with travelers and fishermen and hunters who would come up on vacation. And they would make objects such as this to trade.
The club was made from birch trees and were believed to be releasing the spirits of the animals that were killed with the club. The club was equally used by the people for religious ceremonies. It was appraised on the show at $2,000 to $2,500.
I think on a retail basis, this club would be very much appreciated.
A gift that was bought during a family trip turned out to be worth thousands. This father secretly bought a gold watch during their trip to Europe and gifted it to his wife for Christmas. The watch was made by Rolex, a Swiss watch designer and manufacturer based in Geneva, Switzerland. The engraving on the watch was done by hand and is fully 18-karat gold. It also had VVS diamond stones around it, which were 2/3 in carat.
This watch would probably be priced somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000.
Wow, I thought it would be $1,000, something like that. I don't buy jewelry.
Each link's $1,000.
Wow.
While at Louisiana Hayride in Shreveport, this woman met and collected signatures of Elvis Presley and John Cash. Both artists were still starting out in the industry.
They were not famous enough yet to even be listed among the performers at the Louisiana Hayride,
No.
so it's fascinating.
For the item's value, the appraiser stated,
At auction for the program, I would put between $5,000 and $7,000.
Oh, really? I had no idea. Really, that's fantastic. I'm glad I kept it all these years.
the belongings of a Native American rights activist, Ruth Muskrat Bronson, appeared on the show and took the viewers back in time. Ruth fought for the rights of Native Americans and was the first guidance and placement officer at the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Her belongings were valued at $8,000 to $12,000. Natural flowers are beautiful, but this artificial flower is even more beautiful and costs millions of dollars. A flower known as the regimental jewel was brought to the show by its custodian. The flower was made by House of Faberge, a jewelry firm founded in Gustav Faberge in 1842 Russia. According to a descendant of Faberge's founder, Tatiana Faberge, the flower was presented as a gift to soldiers of the Boer War by an aristocrat, Georgina Ward, Countess of Dudley. What's more special about this flower is that it is one of the 80 surviving Faberge botanical studies. The flower has an exquisite makeup. Its stalk was made out of gold, and the flower itself was made with silver and beautifully charmed by small silver stamens. The center also had diamonds, and the leaves were made from Siberian jade. The original box of the flower was made with the wood of the holly tree from Siberia. A large collection of Faberge items is being held at Faberge Museum, opened in Baden-Baden, Germany. The show's appraiser noted that the Faberge flower was one of the most unique items he had come across.
That we still on occasions look back to, but it's important that we also look forward. And I just think it provides that link for all the different ages of soldiers that have soldiered with the regiment and are intending in the future to soldier with the regiment.
Who wouldn't be amazed at that? The custodian of the flower, however, noted that it is not for sale, as it belongs to the Worcestershire Army Regiment. A professional golf player personally came to the show with one of her golf clubs. She is Jane Crafter, an LPGA golf player. Jane loves to collect golf antiques, and she bought the club for about $300. It was valued at $400 to $1,500. A sash used during the inauguration ball of the first president of the United States, George Washington, appeared on this episode of the show. The woman who had bought it got it from her mother. Its value was $3,000 to $6,000.
I'm excited, really, Lee. I just love it.